What's going on, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to a brand new post-commentary duel video. A bit of a long one today, very grindy match, if I do say so myself, between the Crusadia Guardragons with a bit of some bit of spice in there, just a bit of spice in the Crusadia Guardragon deck on the left versus some Sky Striker. So pretty grindy match, if I do say so myself. So let's go ahead and get into it. Getting started with none other than the Terratop engine. Going for Take Tom Borg, normal summoning the Arborea, linking into Magus, and then following up, of course, by special summoning the Maximus of the zone that Magus points to. And searching a Crusadia Draco, of course, linking into Spada, and then special summoning that Draco to add back the Maximus, and then summoning the Take Tom Borg now, linking that Crusadia Draco into none other than Guardragon Alpi, everybody's favorite card of the format. Summoning an extremely broken card is the Omni Dragon Brotar. Eclipse Wyvern Band, who cares? We've got a better version, roughly, of Eclipse Wyvern. Why wait to banish a card to get the card you want when you could just search it right away? So we can use that to search a Dark Dragon. I believe going for Destrudo, and of course linking into Saryuja, then linking into Pisty. Of course going into the Destrudo right there, synchroing into none other than, actually not even using Destrudo's effect, just summoning him off of the Saryuja as a level 7, and then synchroing with the non-tuner level 1 Omni Dragon to go into the Savage Dragon, and then Agar Pain, time to feel the Agar Pain, special summoning out the Hot Red Abyss, Heavenly Spheres being summoned, now the Chaos Dragon Levianeer, shuffling one of those cards back in to the deck at random, and as if having 3 interruptions on board wasn't enough, how about I take 1 card out of your hand? So you have 1 less thing to work with. But the Sky Striker player looks like he's well equipped to deal with this board. Widow Anchor on the Hot Red, Widow Anchor on the Savage Dragon, both going, unanswered, not responding. Just going to let them get negated because either way, the effects are going to be exhausted or used. We'll see an Upstart at Goblin be played, 3 spells engraved, and a Foolish Burial Goods. And I think one thing to mention is the card that got shuffled back off of the Chaos Dragon Levianeer, I believe it was a Ray, and I believe he drew the same card for turn, which is really hilarious. So we'll see the Foolish Burial Goods dumping that World Dino Wrestling to the grave to special out Pancratop. So a quick 3 interruptions back, right back at his opponent to follow up with such a board. Pretty fortunate if you're the Sky Striker player to see all of these sets of cards here. And then Ray being normal summoned, so he has a way to bait out this Heavenly Spheres. You could do it either, of course, by popping it, going to the battle phase, which we will see him do. Pancratops will swing. We'll see him try to use the effect of Heavenly Spheres, and since it doesn't target, he's got to use both of his monsters' quick effects right now. The Pancratops to attempt to destroy another card on the field, and the Sky Striker Ace Ray being used to link immediately into the Sky Striker Ace Kaina. And then we're going to see the Heretic Spheres resolve here, as well as an Omni Dragon Brotor. So we'll see Brotor get summoned out. And then we'll see Heretic Spheres summon out Tempest from the deck. 0 attack and defense. Get that card out of the deck so we can use it. Discarding Crusadia Draco to the graveyard now, which will be food for Tempest later. And adding a copy of Chaos Dragon Levianeer. So that is going to be a huge threat next turn anyways. Kaina's going to swing in. Still in the battle phase here. A lot of things happening in the battle phase. Kind of swinging in and killing that Omni Dragon Brotar. I apologize for the glare there down on the bottom. Cards are still somewhat seeable for the most part. But a pretty productive battle phase if you're the Sky Striker player. Able to chew through quite a few cards. In fact, all interruptions burn through. It's just a matter of putting up some sort of defensive wall. So that next turn, when that Omni Dragon, or not Omni Dragon, getting the Chaos Dragon Levianeer and Omni Dragon mixed up. But when that Chaos Dragon Levianeer comes down, you better have something for it. And it looks like he will, hopefully anyways, that Kagari grabbing back the Hornet Drones. Well, not Hornet Drones, the Widow Anchor. I was expecting, to be totally honest, for him to link into Hayate instead of Kaina, so we could get another card like Engage to the graveyard, to be able to go into Kagari to grab Widow Anchor to be able to draw a card. So a bit of an interesting take on this play here. Widow Anchor being played again for the third time this turn to take that Levianeer, and then trying to send it with Area 0, and then the most unfortunate thing happens. The Area 0 misses, not revealing a single Sky Striker card upon activation. Extremely unfortunate. Now linking into the Shizuku, activating the end phase to add a Sky Striker spell that is not present in the graveyard, and that's going to be engaged. Returning, unfortunately, back that Levianeer to his hand. Tempest going back to the hand as well. So whole sorts of tons of advantage being given to this Crusadia Guardragon player. I apologize for the little earthquakes happening. The camera legs were savagely attacked there, but not too big of a deal. Getting back to the game here, though. Hot Red Abyss, I think, may or may not have been used on the Shizuku. I'm not entirely sure, though. I don't think it was, but we'll see him start his plays off, though, now with the normal summon of the Maximus. And then using Destrudo Engrave to synchro and target Maximus to, of course, drop its level down by the monster target is paying half life points. Going into Yazi. And what's he going to summon off Yazi? Not the typical Mare, but Vishuda, Dragon Spirit of the Tenyi. A Dark Worm, ladies and gentlemen. That is a summonable target off of Yazi. He's going to be able to do some pretty spicy plays with that. Going to link the Vishuda away for Tenyi Monk. And going to banish the Tenyi while he controls that non-effect monster and try to bounce the Ray back to the hand. That's going to proc Ray to activate. At least want to get some sort of effects out of that. A little bit of spice, though, there. A little Tenyi Crusadia Guardragon. Going to link it to Hayate just because in hopes that if it does battle, he'll be able to send something to the graveyard. So if perhaps he does have an next turn, he'll be able to grab it back in some way, shape, or form if he can recycle Kagari. Perhaps by a Link Bound or Signet Universe, some way, shape, or form. Very few cards left, though, in the extra deck of the Crusadia Guardragon player, as expected. After pulling off a combo like that turn one, your extra deck is a bit exhausted, but still a few things to work with. Banishing a whole bunch of cards from the graveyard, summoning Chaos Dragon Levianeer. And looks like we'll see the Arborea being special summoned, or the Draco being special summoned, rather, to add back Arborea, and then we'll see a Saryuja being summoned. Of course, going to draw into 4 cards. He's got to put back 3, but he's been able to dig deep into some card advantage there and sort of filtering out what he does and doesn't want. Being able to essentially build the perfect hand and netting 1 extra card. We'll see Reclusia come down to the zone that the Saryuja points to, and it's going to blow itself up, and the Hayate, and summoning Tempest, and special summoning the Maximus, and swinging for Game O'Plenty right then and there. So we're going to head right into Game 2, where I believe Sky Striker is going to opt to go second. I mean, Sky Striker did open up a pretty good hand there, but just did not have enough resources afterwards, after dealing with all those cards, just to deal with that bounce, that non-targeting bounce that can be so threatening. That just gets Omni Dragon. It's just such a threatening board. But as we head into Game 2 here, I want to mention a quick shout out to our sponsor at Imperium Duelist. You guys are interested in picking up some amazing cloth playmats, 2-player, some amazing sleeves, effect sleeves, non-effect sleeves, tournament ready, or some dice, or some calculator cases, a lot of card gaming accessories, if you will. High quality at a great price point, and you can use that discount code WinterKills10 off to save 10% off your entire order as well. You should check them out. A link to the website is down in the description below. But continuing on here, we see that Vishuda, Dragon Spirit of the Tenyi on the board already. And then we'll see the classic Spatha play moving over that Elpie so that it can summon into a zone that 2 Link monsters point to. And that's going to summon Omni Dragon Brotor. And that's going to discard the Draco to search a Dark Dragon from deck to hand. Going to be none other than Destrudo, summoning Tempest now by banishing a Wind and a Dragon. And then linking them all away for a Yugioh, and then linking away the Omni Dragon Brotor for a Guardragon Pisty. That's going to summon the Brotor back to the field, and then we'll see Yugioh's effect being activated to summon out the Destrudo from hand to be able to synchro into a level 8 Savage Dragon. And we're seeing a pretty familiar board as opposed to last time. Probably going to be linking into the Agar Pain here, as you most likely would expect for typical Guardragon plays. Hot Red Abyss, classic spheres, erratic spheres, and that looks like it's probably going to be it. 3 interruptions, a non-targeting bounce that also special summons a dragon from the deck, 1 negation of a card anywhere, and then 1 negation of a face-up card on the field. So still a pretty strong board. What is our Sky Striker player going to have here in order to address said board? Last time, opening double Widow Anchor and Foolish Burial Goods to get Pankratops was pretty good, but not quite enough. So he's definitely going to need more at this point, just because that bounce is so potent. And ladies and gentlemen, there it is, the Raw Sphere mode. Attributing exactly 3, clearing that entire board. Absolutely insane. And then, since the Erratic Spheres was technically still tributed, it will get its effect to be able to special summon a dragon from the deck. Unfortunate, but all of the problems have been dealt with at this point. And sooner than later, we'll have that Nibiru in the format, which will, I think, just become an instantly better version of Raw Sphere mode. I mean, against a deck like this, he could have dropped that Nibiru right on his head during his own turn without losing his normal summon. And we'll see a Mystic Mine being played. Mystic Mine. And this is an interesting play because that Raw Sphere mode is going to actually return to his opponent's field at the end of the turn. And with Destrudo being on board, that will give each player the same amount of monsters, which would be interesting. And obviously, we know what will happen with Mystic Mine. It will go to the graveyard, so questionable play being made there. And in phase, that Sphere being passed over, and the Mystic Mine going with it, really to the graveyard. But it sort of did stun him for a turn, so I would say worth it, to say the least. Now, normal summoning Ray here to start off his turn, which I think may or may not have been a misplay. I recall him saying, as soon as he did it, he immediately regretted making this normal summon here for some reason. Again, I'm not a top-tier Sky Striker player. I don't plan on being one, but for those that do play the deck, could probably maybe see where this man's coming from. But Ray still nonetheless hitting the board. And obviously still some cards in hand to work with. And a Destrudo on his opponent's field. If he can set something up to staunch the flow of Guardragon Crusadia plays next turn, we could see a bit of a comeback here. Multi-roll, that's definitely a good start, clearing the Sphere mode. And he can do that because the Sphere is only unaffected by opponent's card effects, I believe. So he will be able to send that. And the Ray is going to be able to run into the Destrudo. And because it does have 0 attack and defense since it was summoned off of the Erratic Spheres. And that will summon Brotar, because Brotar will summon us outside of the grave, I believe, if anything is destroyed. So, be able to search a Dark Dragon now, ditching the Pankratops. Search any Dark Dragon, and lo and behold, the fantastical dragon himself is a Dark Dragon. So, how clutch is that? Why not just go ahead and search for a free +1, if you will. So he's going to special summon that on the summon Hayate, draw into 2 cards, and put one of them cards back in his hand. Back to the deck. Looks like he's got to take Tomborg in his hand. That might be easily going back into the deck. Not entirely sure, though. Still 2 monsters on his field. Going to kill the Brotar. That's going to banish itself as a result. And Hayate will activate to be able to dump a Sky Striker spell to the graveyard. It's going to be Engage. Definitely need to get some things going here, get the engine going, start it up, and it looks like he's going to go for Kagari. That's going to add back the Engage, no doubt. Playing the Engage, perhaps? Also, multi-roll is live, and his spells cannot be responded to because we did see him send that Sphere mode for the multi-roll. So pretty much safe from any hand traps like Ash or anything really that would be able to respond to the effect of a Sky Striker spell. So that is pretty clutch. Or the activation, I believe, of a Sky Striker spell. I'm not sure exactly how multi-roll is worded. But if you're the Sky Striker player right now, you've got things to think about. Plenty of hand advantage on the side of the Crusadia Guardragon player. Definitely plenty of cards to work with. A Destrudo in the graveyard as well, I believe. So that's something you've got to be thinking about for next turn, as it could definitely prove to be dangerous. Access to synchro plays like Yazi's we saw last game with the Vishuda play, pretty potent. So Engage is going to grab Afterburner, or not Afterburners, but rather the Eagle Booster, which can of course target any Sky Striker card, or any monster really that you control, making it unaffected by card effects. Then if you control 3 or more, or if you have 3 more spells in your grave on the activation, that monster can also not be destroyed by battle. So potentially locking up his board from being broken by simply just having 1 spell. Kind of being summoned now, targeting the Phantasme. I believe he does have the option to negate, because I think that does target. I don't think the Crusadia Guardragon player is going to bite there. He doesn't really care if he can't attack with it anyways, since it's not even his turn. And it might just prove to be link fodder next turn anyways, so big deal. You targeted my Phantasme, I can't attack, whatever. You're not really caring too much as the Crusadia player at this point. Still has a Kaina though, and we'll most likely see a Shizuku as well. Afterburner being played now, so he will gain 100 life points for that, clearing the Phantasme 100%. Now linking into Shizuku. Got a couple effects to resolve here in the end phase. I believe activating a total of 2 striker spells in the end, or during that turn of that multi-roll. 3 now with the Widow Anchor, classic end phase Widow Anchor shenanigans. And now going to be able to set back 2 in his grave. Going for the Engage and the Widow Anchor, shuffling them up before setting them back down. We know he has an Eagle Booster as well, so at least 2 cards that he can use to interact with his opponent this turn. And there's Pankratops. Discarded 1 earlier off the Brotar and has another copy of Pankratops, which has got to be a terrible feeling, terrible thing to see for the Sky Striker player. You thought maybe that Pankratops as a threat would be gone, deciding to discard it for swapping out for a fantastical Dragon Phantasme. Not quite. Another Pankratops appears and able to start applying pressure. And also keep in mind that Shizuku is giving him an arrow to his side of the field, which a lot of his Crusadia monsters can take advantage of, like we see there. So Crusadia Maximus special summoning itself out to the zone that Shizuku points to. His monsters are being dropped by a bit of attack points, I think like 400 or so, maybe 300 or 400, or maybe 200, I'm not sure. But yeah, summoning Destrudo, he'll pay half-life, and then going to synchro with the Maximus and the Destrudo. The Sky Striker player hesitant on activating the Widow Anchor there, and going to set it back down. And then the Crusadia Guardragon player not wasting any time and synchroing into Dawn Dragster. Could have gone into Yazi, as they're both very good cards to have in this situation. I mean, having Yazi is a card that cannot be targeted, period, regardless of using his effect to destroy a card, is still pretty strong in this matchup. Having a card that can't be targeted if your striker is a card that is pretty hard to deal with, I would say. We'll see Tempest being summoned now by banishing 2. Looks like Agar Pain and 1 other card. Feeling the Agar Pain still, all the way this far in the match. Feeling the Agar Pain. I love that term. So yeah, Agar Pain, Dawn Dragster, and a live Pankratops on the board still at this point. 4 set back row still loom in the back of the mind of the Crusadia Draco player. Crusadia Guardragon, not Crusadia Draco. Crusadia Guardragon player there. With that multi-roll still being a ever-present threat. And now on the attack declaration of the Tempest, we're going to see Widow Anchor on the Dawn Dragster, trying to perhaps bait out a Dawn Dragster, or to perhaps get some spells into his graveyard to lower the attacks of the monsters his opponent controls. So Widow Anchor being negated, and then following up after with the effect of the afterburn, or the booster. And I believe there was a bit of a mishap in the ruling that the Widow Anchor, or the booster, had to be chained in response to the anchor in order to be activated at all, to be able to get the number of spells engraved, which or something like that. Weird ruling they were discussing, but just could not get enough spells in the graveyard regardless to be able to make it so his monster could not be destroyed by battle. I think that's really what it all comes down to there. Ray being summoned back out, obviously, and then that tagging out for Kaina attempting to target that Pankratops, I believe is what the target that was made for that, so he cannot attack with that card. And then of course any Sky Striker spell that is activated while this card is on the field, he will gain 100. So attempting to crash, I think, the Dawn Dragster and the Kaina now, because the Dawn Dragster is at 1500 attack, since it only gains 300 attack per level, and every negate that you use with it, you have to drop it by 2 levels. So he's going to anchor that to take it, actually. So he's going to take that Dawn Dragster over to his side of the field, where it will only return to the field next turn as a problematic card. I probably would have maybe tried to take the Pankratops, to be totally honest. I'm not entirely sure why taking the Dawn Dragster would have been a better option, but then again, I don't know. I'm not a Sky Striker player. Regardless, now going into main phase 2 and summoning Take Tomborg while he controls Tempest, because yes, that is a thing he can do. Won't see him tribute that off for a Speedroid tuner monster, probably, definitely not, but rather going into Land for Rinkus, which gives him a non-effect monster, so he can use Vishuda in his graveyard to be able to bounce a card his opponent controls. And that set card that was returned off multi-roll looking pretty good, because of course if that leaves the field, it's going to be banished. And we've seen the anchor being played. The only thing we can think of it as being right now is that engage, and losing that engage will hurt definitely. So he's going to target that. It will leave the field, and it will get banished as a result. Pankratops going to use its effect to pop the Kaina, getting that off the field. Ray's effects already exhausted. Getting to set 3, though, off multi-roll. The Eagle Booster, Afterburner, and a Widow Anchor, so he'll have 3 cards to deal with for next turn. And Land for Rinkus and a Dawn Dragster on the field, returning back, or the passing over now to the Sky Striker player. Still a decent amount of life points for if you're the Sky Striker player. Still in a somewhat comfortable position. I think only 1 card in the hand of the Crusadia Draco player. Just up to him to see what kind of pressure he can apply this turn, because if you're going to try to apply pressure in this game at this moment, now is the time to do that 100%. Checking both graveyards now, seeing what each player has to work with for next turn. I think that Destrudo, not in the graveyard anymore, would still be in the bottom of the deck, I believe, because he did use that effect to pay half. Setting 1, and perhaps not setting 1 now. 2 cards in hand for the Striker player, some spells engrave, I believe. Maybe not, actually, simply because the multi-roll took so many of them out of the graveyard last turn. That engage not there, though, so really doesn't seem like he has any search power at this point. And looks like he's going to Eagle Booster and then Hornet Drones, or then Afterburner, my bad, to clear the Dawn Dragster. Those would be banished. I think maybe just trying to get spells activated for multi-roll. Really just running on empty right now for Sky Strikers. Having just like a Ray or a Hornet Drones or an Engage or an Area 0 would prove to be very, very helpful right now, but not seeing any of those cards. Passing it back over to the Crusadia Guardragon player, and unfortunately Sky Strikers could not get anything set up. He's going to banish Elpie and take Tomborg to summon out the Tempest Dragon Ruler of Storms. And then Gallus summoning itself, revealing a Danger Nessie going to burn for 14, which is a pretty significant amount of damage here when trying to calculate game if you're the Crusadia Guardragon player, and has an Arborea in hand, so he's going to normal summon that, and then pay half life points again to summon out Destrudo in attack position at 1,000. So we're looking at 24, I believe, from the Tempest, and I think 12 and 12 from Gallus and the Lanfarincus, another 1,000 from the Destrudo. Super Poly, unfortunately, no targets for Super Poly because all those monsters have different attributes. They might have the same type, but I think Mud Dragon requires same attribute and different type, so they both need to be like light, and then like Dragon and Warrior, like perfect example. But I believe he had like a wind, a dark, a light, a water on his field, so literally no super poly targets to be you know, available to him. No other dark monsters other than just the Destrudo. So really unfortunate. A very grindy game there. 25 minutes been talking over this match. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. A pretty grindy match. Sorry this one went up a bit later today. Had some edits to do to it. Had to adjust the exposure, and of course it is a longer video, so going to take a lot longer to render. So apologize on it going up late, but nonetheless, hope you guys are still able to enjoy. As always, check out Imperium Duelist, join Discord, and follow me on Twitch if you haven't already. And as always, guys, Winner Kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.